Hello from eastern Belgium, the famous Ardennes Mountains of this country. I'm currently in the German-speaking region and I'm here to look for a little bit of history, not just Belgian history, but also American history. In particular, World War II. As many people might know, this area there were a lot of fights in this area during World War II, especially in the late stages of the war, when Germany was starting to lose on the Eastern Front and was starting to also lose on this side of the battles. So I'm here to visit a memorial which is to commemorate and to honor the battle between the Americans and the Germans in 1944. And this memorial is called Hazelpad, which is right here. In 1944, what today is known as Eastern Belgium here, were a lot of fights between Americans and German troops, as I said earlier. And the American troops that were stationed here, a lot of the soldiers were very young and not very experienced. So these battles in this area, they used to be called baby battles, so to say, by the other US divisions because of the lack of experience. Now, what does a lack of experience in military mean? Well, it means a lot of casualties. A lot of Americans died in this region. Germans, of course, too. And this memorial kind of shows a lot of trenches, leftover trenches, that remain as sort of a memorial to kind of honor and to remember the history of what happened. It's not a big memorial, but it's still worth checking out. So these are the holes that the Americans dug, in which they were hiding from artillery and basically bomb shellings. These trenches, those are leftover trenches. I don't know what that is. It's just sitting here. I don't think that has anything war related. Just somebody put it here. And here we have a little board explaining to us what basically these things are. You know, that's basically what this text just says. It says that, well, what I just told you, that this was where the Americans were sitting, in holes like this, and there are a bunch of holes like this in the area. This hole right here was the radio stations where American soldiers were sitting inside and were communicating with other divisions and generals and stuff like that, basically telling them what is going on and what the situation is. And in other holes in the area they would sleep in. Now, of course, as you can imagine, this isn't a camping trip, or it wasn't a camping trip. The conditions were quite atrocious and the circumstances were quite harsh in the area, with, you know, artillery and bombs flying around. You know, this isn't bushcraft. And here we have basically the biggest trench, which unfortunately has collapsed. They put up this sign right here which wasn't there just a couple of weeks ago or months ago, when the last time when I was here. So I think I have some footage of it somewhere where it wasn't collapsed. They obviously don't want people to go in there now, so I'm not gonna do that. But this is where people would be sitting in trenches like this during the war. And if we look, for instance, over to the war in Ukraine now, just think about that for a minute. You know, this are the kind of things, you know, people are sitting in, soldiers are sitting in, you know, days, weeks, months, on both sides. So that kind of brings it home a little bit. If you ever travel around somewhere around eastern Belgium, then you will find a lot of memorials or occasional memorials in villages and other places that commemorate and honor the victims of the war and the soldiers. And most of these memorials will have an American flag waving. That's because a lot of Americans fought in this particular area, in the east of Belgium, or modern day Belgium. So they're actually being quite honored here. There's almost always an American flag somewhere along a Belgian flag. So this right here was another radio station. It has not quite collapsed yet, but it's definitely in danger of collapsing, why they put the sign up. So this is where people would be sitting inside and in a trench like this, and they would radio other generals and divisions and update them on the situation and receive information on what is going on in other parts of the country and how other US divisions are doing, what the situation is with them, and discuss tactics and stuff. Yeah, all of this happened in these forests. All over the high fence of Belgium. And in this forest that I'm walking through right now is where these battles happened, where a lot of people died, where a lot of people were traumatized, a lot was destroyed. The villages in the area, they were basically non-existent after the war. They were all rebuilt. Now of course this forest, a lot of these trees have grown after the war. A lot of them were obviously destroyed as well because of the shellings all over the place. But it kind of gives you an idea of how loud it must have been here. Look, right now all you hear is birds, you know, and occasionally a car going by the road which is nearby. But other than that, it's so quiet. And back then, nothing was quiet here. And this right here is where a large caliber shell has detonated, exploded, and created this crater, which is still here today. And that was it. That was the entire memorial, basically. Just a few craters and a few hideouts, trenches. There are not a lot of memorials like that, but I think it's pretty cool if they preserve places like this, because seeing trenches, seeing craters, seeing, you know, all these things is what makes you understand that this is what war is, and this is what people, these are the circumstances that people are in, soldiers that are at the front. So hope there was something interesting in it, and see you next time.